When I was celebrating my birthday on May 15th, somewhere else a young girl's life was being stolen. No balloons, no cake, no laughter, just darkness, questions, and a wound that would never heal. That girl was Aarushi Talwar. It was the night of May 15th, 2008. In a residence in Noida, India, the Talwar family slept or tried to. Dr. Rajesh Talwar and Dr. Nupur Talwar were both dentists, living with their only daughter, Aarushi, in apartment L32, Sector 25, Jalvaya Vihar, Noida. It was a comfortable home, a middle-class life, with hopes and routines like any other. The kind of home where no one expects horror to cross the threshold. That night, the household's domestic helper, Hemraj Banjade, had finished his chores and was last recorded talking on the phone at around 8:27 p.m. from a public call office about 1 kilometer away. After that point, his trail would grow faint. Meanwhile, the Talwars and Aarushi retired for the night. No one could foresee that the hours ahead would unravel everything. By the morning of May 16th, something was terribly wrong. The maid, Bharati Mundal, arrived to do her tasks and tried to ring the doorbell. No answer. Eventually, Nupur opened the door from inside. Bharati asked to enter the house. She was told not to go into Arushi's room. But suspicion had already crept in. When Nupur pulled the blanket off Aarushi, she discovered her daughter's body. Lying dead on her bed, her throat slit. Aarushi was 13, some sources say 14 at the time. That shocking discovery triggered an avalanche of chaos. Rajesh immediately told police that Hemraj was responsible. But in the hours that followed, the situation grew murkier. By then, neighbors and relatives had poured into the home. The crime scene was contaminated. Footprints, voices, hands-touched surfaces, rooms were trod upon. What should have been a sacred forensics zone became a frenzy. The next day, May 17th, the mystery deepened. Hemraj's body was discovered on the terrace of that same house. The police broke open the terrace lock. Nobody had the key at that time, and found him in an advanced state of decomposition. His throat was also slit in the same brutal attack. Bloody drag marks were seen. Doors showed stains. The body was found around 10:30 a.m. At that point, 2 murders, 1 home, and almost zero clarity. Everyone's suspicion shifted. First, Hemraj himself was suspect number 1 in Aarushi's murder. Then his death turned the tables. At whom do we look then? Let's take a closer look at the forensic and evidentiary details, because these are the battlefield on which this case was waged and lost. The post-mortem reports claim that both Aarushi and Hemraj died between midnight and 1 a.m. Each was struck with a blunt object first, causing U or V-shaped wounds. Then their throats were slit with precision. There was no evidence of asphyxia. In Aarushi's case, a 14 centimeters x 6 centimeters cut was found on her neck. Her head had a severe blunt injury above the left eye, a deep cut about 4 by 3 centimeters, and a blood clot, 8 by 2 centimeters. For Hemraj, blunt injury was on the back of the head. No signs of forced entry were found in Aarushi's room. Her door was lockable from inside or by an external key. On the morning of May 16th, the key to her room was found in a shoe key ring placed above a framed wall sculpture in the living room. Nupur later told investigators she wasn't sure if she had locked the door that night or left the key in the slot. She claimed in lie detector, narco, and brain mapping tests that she had forgotten. There was also the terrace door. That key was never found. Hemraj was said to have had it as part of his bunch of keys. The fact that the terrace was locked outward raised serious questions. Who locked it from outside without being seen? Now examine the timeline. In the hours before the murder, Nupur was heading to her clinic in Hauz Khas. She was in Delhi that day before returning in the evening. At about 11 p.m., Nupur is believed to have visited Aarushi's room. She says she might have left the key in the slot, uncertain whether she locked the door. Rajesh claimed he locked the bedroom door from outside at 11:30 p.m. He also admitted forgetting to lock his own bedroom door. Around 12:30 a.m., within the window of time when both are believed to have died, the attacks took place. The blunt force blow may have rendered them incapacitated, then the slit wounds delivered. One of the critical turning points in this case was evidence handling, or mishandling. The police arrived late. Some said that the live scene was never sealed. Family, neighbors, and media entered. Important evidence was destroyed or contaminated. The chain of custody was weak. Investigators later admitted these lapses. Experts questioned the integrity of DNA samples and swabs. In many reports, samples were lost, switched, or their integrity doubted by the defense. Some forensic reports contradicted others. All that's interesting. The media coverage was relentless and often brutal. Aarushi's name was dragged through the mud. Sensational claims about her character, private life, and morality were printed without restraint. The Talwars' private grief became public spectacle. Many criticized this as a trial by media, a rush to judgment before evidence could speak. Facing mounting pressure, the case was transferred to the Central Investigative Agency, the CBI, on May 31, 2008. The CBI formed teams and re-examined evidence, phone records, and testimonies. India Today. The CBI found inconsistencies in the Talwars' statements. They also questioned Nupur's long phone-off period from 7:40 p.m. on May 15th until about 1 p.m. on May 18th. That gap seemed suspicious. The forensic evidence continued to be shaky. Over time, the CBI focused suspicion increasingly on the parents themselves. The narrative shifted to accusations sealed in circumstantial arguments. Motive of honor killing, discovery of compromised relationships, domestic discord, alleged lies and statements. Defense claimed the parents were being framed to mask investigative failure. Many other suspects were considered: former staff, possible intruders, neighbors. The CBI conducted narco tests, brain mapping, lie detectors on domestic staff such as Krishna Thadarai, Raj Kumar, Vijay Mundal, etc. But no definitive clarity emerged. In 2009, one CBI team recommended closing the case, naming Rajesh as the only suspect, but recognized gaps in evidence even for that claim. The Talwars opposed closure. A special CBI court later directed proceedings against them. In November 2013, after years of trial, a CBI special court convicted Rajesh and Nupur Talwar for the double murder. They received life imprisonment. But critics and defense pointed out, the judgment largely rested on circumstantial evidence, speculative inferences, and contested forensic interpretations. No direct eyewitness, no definitive DNA match. But the legal battle did not end there. On October 12, 2017, the Allahabad High Court acquitted the Talwars, citing lack of irresistible proof, serious flaws in the investigation, and doubts in the credibility of evidence. The court criticized the CBI for being one-sided, for altering theories, for tutored witnesses, and for not establishing guilt beyond reasonable doubt. The couple walked free. Since then, appeals have been filed. The Supreme Court accepted CBI's appeal against the acquittal. But as of now, no one has been legally held guilty beyond doubt. The case remains officially unsolved. So what remains? A girl's life snuffed out. 2 bodies in one home. Doors locked and unlocked, keys missing, footsteps traced and erased. A family destroyed by suspicion. A system exposed. Evidence lost. A country divided. Media turned jury. And a silence that haunts every missing answer. We may never know who did it or why. But we must never stop asking. Perhaps someday, the truth will emerge from the shadows. Until then, this remains one of the darkest mysteries in modern criminal history. That's all for now. We create real crime stories. Stories that remind us that truth is sometimes stranger and darker than fiction. If you liked this video, share and subscribe to our channel Life in Frames. We truly need your support to keep going.